947.
#MSW. You may begin to feel anxious or excited. Honest, deliberate, engaging, uncensored. High dosage administration can cause adverse reactions. And most importantly, independent in mind. This is a normal response. Are you ready? Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Is to storm all the way down the touchline and start getting themselves involved in a fracas that doesn't involve them at all. PSL has to take strict action against Royal AM for this, I'm afraid.
In your knowledge, did they utilize a private plane?
The private plane was utilized from Istanbul to Benghazi. If we can come out that breakdown to say flying from Istanbul to Benghazi, this is how much we need to the cost involved.
Changing and re-engineering sports on the continent and the world.
These days it looks like TTM is trying everything to try and save costs, because dismissing the coach on a misconduct, fine. But without compensation?
I've been following Johnny Ferreira for quite some time. He has been up there in the north for a very long time. I don't think what TTM is saying it's true, man. TTM itself, it's a joke, you know? It's a joke. I just wish the team can be relegated, go to Vodacom and just get died. It's a joke itself.
Robert Marawa, live on 947. Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live. #MSW.
Well, you do get that feeling that a lot. I do hope wherever you're going to be traveling to. Please, welcome to Marawa Sports Worldwide, live on 9. There's Sowetan Live. Send your WhatsApp voice notes 060 708 0484 060 708. Whispered to you and tell you who is going to become Gautengers to drop a newly elected into the position. We'll be chatting to him around about 20 past. Fresh input and maybe some of your expectations. Been dying to ask the hierarchy a couple. But firstly, let's deal with all matters to do with Chelsea. And you know that forever remain home for them. I mean, they always say that home is where the heart is. And certainly that welcome return to Chelsea. Or is it what? With Chelsea appointing him as the interim manager until his all-time leading goal scorer, who was that draw against Liverpool just 48 hours after Potter was sacked. So how important is that? That's why 10 broadcaster at Haters Team. Nice and fresh from the press conference, Jerry Cox joins us right here on MSW. Jerry, thank you so much for your time. Good evening.
Well, what could...
Yeah.
After Potter was sacked, and certainly... I was at the game on Tuesday night against Liverpool, and Frank Lampard up in the stands, and suddenly back at Stamford Bridge since he was sacked himself by Roman Abramovich, just over 2 years ago. And then this morning I put in a call to Chelsea's media team just to see what was going on. And they said, if you can get yourselves down to the training ground at 1:30, there might be an announcement. So there we were, back. And what a surprise! He's got the job until the end of the season. And then who knows?
Jerry, I mean, what sense are you getting? Is there an opportunity? Let's say, okay, the last few games that are left, if he does well, brings back there could be an extension, or is this a straight up, you will coach up until the end of the season and cheers after that?
Frank's mind, and he was non-committal on it when he was asked outright, do you think there's a chance beyond this season? He pretty much sort of said, well, it's not my decision. But I think, I mean, you know, if you remember when he was a player, for the second sort of last quarter of the season, and ended up winning the Champions League and getting the job, even though in, you know, good Abramovich fashion, he was sacked a few months later. The reward was there. Now, obviously, Chelsea can't qualify. It'd be an amazing feat to qualify for the Champions League through finishing in the top four. I think that one's gone, and I think everyone at the club knows that. But obviously, they've got this quarter-final against Real Madrid, which you never know in a competition like the Champions League. We've seen surprises every year. And his motivational ability with those players, a lot of whom, bear in mind, there's been huge turmoil, but he's worked with some of them, especially the younger players, you know. So you never know. If he gets through that, then they face either Bayern Munich or Manchester City. Again, it would look an impossible job. But, you know, this is how it was. I mean, it sounds like echoes of 2012, but Di Matteo came in a similar situation. They had to beat Bayern Munich away. Did it. So you never know what could happen. I mean, no sane betting man is going to put much more than a small punt on. But if that were to happen, well, you know, Frank Lampard would obviously have to be a strong candidate to take over in the long run.
A lot of people, though, Jerry, say that this particular appointment again signals the fact that the leadership at Chelsea have no clue. They've got no idea what they want after Potter. Then it's I mean, somebody even tweeted last night, they were very flippant about it, saying that sack Lampard for Tuchel. They saw Tuchel win a Champions League. Then they sacked Tuchel for Potter and sacked Potter for Lampard 7 months later after he almost relegated Everton, of all teams.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair to the, you know, it's a different regime now. It's a different people in charge. There's a lot, you know, it's only 2 years. I said, what's changed? And he said, well, everything. You know, a lot of the playing staff, behind the scenes, the ownership, the people at the top of the club, you know, running day-to-day operations, all sorts of things, directions of football. Everything has changed since he was there. So it's obviously not the same people who sacked him once. And you have to remember, you know, to give Frank his credit, he came in a very difficult situation. They had a transfer ban. His first season, where he wasn't able to sign any players, he got them into the top four, and they got to a FA Cup final. So it wasn't a disastrous season. The second season, up until December, they were in contention. They were in the top three. He had a terrible, terrible December, which really cost him his job, and that was the end. They qualified again. They qualified for the Champions League, top of the group, in some style. So he sort of laid the groundwork that Thomas Tuchel came in and took them on to win the Champions League. So, you know, I actually asked him, I said, do you think have you got some unfinished business here? And he said, no, he said, that's probably too Hollywood a sort of term for it. I don't feel like it's unfinished business. But he did say he always felt somehow he would be back there. He's never ruled out going back as manager at Chelsea, having another chance at it, you know. So I think, you know, he's got a lot of belief. And he talked about his Everton situation as being, you know, learning a lot. And he had that one great moment, really, which was saving them from relegation. He said, you know, we'll always have that. He said that what that meant to the people around the club, the fans, the players, the staff, and him and his staff. That was a great moment when they avoided relegation last year. And, you know, you can see Everton are in much better shape since then. I mean, I think Sean Dyche might be able to save them this time, but it's a club that needs a lot of surgery anyway, so it's not necessarily the biggest stain on his managerial career. And you could argue Chelsea isn't his time at Chelsea, apart from that last month where it all really sort of fell apart, wasn't a disaster either. So, you can understand why they brought him back. It's certainly got the fans back on board without a shadow of doubt. That they all love Frank Lampard, so they've definitely got the fans back on board, which I think is important. And they've got some experience there to lead them through this last phase of the season.
Talking about that last phase, though, Jerry, I think just a great opportunity for me to come in and say that last phase, wouldn't maybe somebody else, different type of management, decide that, listen, if I brought in Nagelsmann now, or I brought in whoever the main front runners would be, and I know that there's been a race, there's been Luis Enrique's name that has popped up.
Enrique,
yeah.
Pochettino,
Yeah, his name has kind of popped up since we last spoke there, Jerry, and I believe that he's already tabled a very honest type of proposal that he sent to Chelsea, highlighting each and every individual player and what he would do with them. But where I was getting at in terms of the rest of the season, wouldn't that be almost seen as an opportune time for the long-term manager to come in, see what is there, use it almost as a pre-season, and then come the end of the season, and with the actual official preseason kicking in, you would have had a better idea than told the owners who and what he wanted as far as transfer is concerned.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you in normal times. But unfortunately, this year is exceptional in that there are already 2 or 3 big clubs, big European clubs, already looking for managers. And we're pretty certain there are going to be 2 or 3 other big beasts out there looking for managers in the summer. So here you've already got Tottenham as well as Chelsea. Then you're going to have Real Madrid, PSG most likely, certainly one of the big Italian giants, maybe Juventus even will be looking for a new manager. So there's going to be some movement, and the likes of Nagelsmann and Luis Enrique and Pochettino and some of the big names who are fancy for these jobs will understandably be waiting to see what's the best offer, who's going to be playing Champions League football. These aren't sort of instant decisions they can make now. And the clubs themselves, obviously, they would want to do their due diligence. They want to have some time to assess the options. And it is, I think we used that phrase the other day, the managerial merry-go-round. It could well be that once the first one goes, then it opens an opportunity for another manager to go. So they're all sort of, from the manager's point of view, they hold the aces, really. Those guys, certainly the ones who are out of work and the ones looking to move this summer, are going to have their pick of jobs. The clubs have to really sort of start looking over the shoulders of what other clubs are doing. I'd imagine if Ancelotti leaves Real Madrid, that's the job everyone would love. That's the biggest club, isn't it? So it's not as easy as just saying get in Nagelsmann or whoever you want now, because I think he understandably will be assessing his options.
What does this bring, though? Because it's almost like 2 different styles of play. What do Chelsea need right now, Jerry, when you look at whether it is somebody with that Spanish influence? You talk about a Barcelona influence, as we know Luis Enrique has been before going and ascending into the national team of Spain, versus a Julian Nagelsmann who comes through with a completely different approach.
Yeah, the high pressing, high energy, the sort of German, what Jurgen Klopp called, sort of gegenpressing and so on. Well, what they need, quite simply, is goals. That's absolutely apparent. It was there on Tuesday night. They had plenty of chances, 20-odd shots on goal, and no goals. That's the crying need immediately. And of course, who's better to educate the players how to put the ball in the net but Frank Lampard, the club's record scorer, albeit as a midfielder. That's for the long term, they need to find a goal scorer. And whether Christopher Nkunku comes in, whether Lukaku could even come back and do a job, who knows? That seems a long shot. But they certainly need to find a way of putting the ball in the net. Their approach play from back to front is nothing terrible about it. They create chances. They're reasonably strong at the back when they've got a full lineup. It's scoring goals. So I think at the moment, and also they seem to be directionless. They're a bit rudderless at the moment. They seem to lack leadership on and off the pitch, and maybe Lampard can just bring that. There's talk of him bringing Ashley Cole with him. I know John Terry has sort of offered his services. Frank wasn't going to reveal today what his backroom staff would be, but, it would surprise me if John Terry got involved a little bit more. Exactly for that sort of reason, bringing that sort of leadership and that inspirational figure off the pitch that they need on it.
I think it's very exciting times, and usually, Jerry, what I always see with an incoming coach, whether it is as Frank is coming in a temporary situation, they always utilize the unhappy players, the players that have been benched for absolutely no reason, that haven't gotten well with the other coach. I don't know if there is such a player that stands out at Chelsea that he'll utilize and say, you know what, if I'm going to bring in my trump card, my ace, this is the man. Who would that be?
Well, Mason Mount is the player that obviously has got long relationship with Frank Lampard. He had him at Derby on loan before he even broke through at Chelsea. His first season with Frank and Mount at Chelsea was a great success. He's been their player of the year for the last 2 years, and he wasn't getting a game. He's had some injury problems. He's got a contract dispute, and that may be affecting it. But Mason Mount, on his game, on his day, at his best, is a game changer for Chelsea. He's a wonderful young player, and I would be hugely surprised if Frank doesn't bring Mason Mount back in and make him centre to his plans, because again he's got the ability to open up defences, to create chances, score goals, and I think you will see a different style of Chelsea, of football played by Chelsea this weekend against Wolves, and certainly next week against Real Madrid in the Champions League. I think Mason Mount can play a really important part. And if there's one player, as you say, put me on the spot, if there's one player I think Frank will bring in from the cold and say, go out there and start winning games for me, it'll be Mason Mount. Young as he is, I think he's that influential player.
Yeah, great call, Jerry. Thank you so much, as always, for providing that analysis. Very sound, very solid, especially just fresh from the press conference this afternoon. I thank you. I appreciate you. Chat to you soon.
Always a pleasure, Robert. Thank you.
That's sports writer and broadcaster at Haters Teamwork. That's Jerry Cox. You can follow him on social media, on Twitter, for all the latest. He was, as we said, he had just attended the press conference earlier today.
Marawa Sports Worldwide Live. In 3, 2, 1. On 947, Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live. #MSW.
Your new upgrade has arrived at Vodacom. Get the new lightning-fast Samsung Galaxy A54 5G with a massive 256 gig storage. Make it yours today on a 2.4 gig Red Core data plan for only 449 Rand per month over 36 months. Plus, add the Galaxy Watch 4 for only 29 Rand per month. Available in-store or online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
Do you with the revamped Suzuki Espresso, now with exciting new features. Do cool tech with a new generation touchscreen that connects you to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Do class-leading safety, which adds ESP and ISOFIX to the already impressive ABS, EBD, and dual front airbags. Do fuel efficiency with engine auto stop-start technology. Do you in the Suzuki Espresso from only 162,900. Contact your nearest Suzuki dealer to book a test drive now. T's and C's apply.
You spoke and we listened. LottoStar has added more blackjack tables for your limitless betting experience. We have 28 new live blackjack games with over 100 tables to choose from. Take a seat and put your best hand forward for a chance to win instant payouts of over 800,000 Rand. Enjoy the best that your world of live games has to offer.
LottoStar is licensed by the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. No under 18s. National Responsible Gambling Program. 0800 006 008. T's and C's apply. All games are fixed odds betting events.
Get tested this April at Specsavers and we'll give you a free optical frame up to the value of 1,000 Rand. That's right, get a free frame up to the value of 1,000 Rand when you purchase a comprehensive eye examination at Specsavers. Book online at specsavers.co.za or visit your nearest store nationwide. Remember, it's important to get your eyes tested every 24 months. Specsavers for affordable eye care and a whole lot more. T's and C's apply.
Calling all chocolate lovers to stop by Sandton City's decadent Chocolate Cafe Speckled Edition to indulge in the sweetest treats this Easter. The Chocolate Cafe is back, and from 30 March to 10 April, you can shop your favorite iconic chocolate brands with fun for the whole family and kids' activities every day between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m., including Easter egg decoration, cookies, and chocolate galore. See you in Sandton City's Centre Court for the sweetest speckled Easter yet.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
We are the champions, my friend.
Rolando Mgwen is on the line. Good evening, sir. Well, firstly, congratulations.
Thank you, Big Rob.
Is this a culmination for you of a lifelong dream?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things, including incredible aspirations and investments from the Motsepe family, expertise, technical experience and brilliance of many coaches and who have come in to build the club to get to the level that it is at the moment. If I were to quickly get into it, maybe there's a sense of appreciating the opportunity to lead this football club and to be the head coach of Mamelodi Sundowns.
Hashtag MSW. Hashtag MSW.
Evening, Rob. Speaking to Oba Ivory, I'm concerned about our football club, Orlando Pirates. The way our coach keep on playing players out of position. Margo per se, I don't have a problem with him. He's my homeboy. But how come always put him on the right-hand side? Especially we as Orlando Pirates, we normally play with wingers, wingbacks, speed, and those crosses coming into the 18, 16 areas. So whenever he's overlapping, he has to come to his strongest foot, which is a left. If he can't compete with Maela on the left-hand side, he must be on the bench. Shandu, Tabiso Monyani, and the other guy from Cape Town City. They can play right back. It's not right what he's doing. It's killing our football. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Marawa. Mr. Marawa, I'll talk about the Copa del Rey, the game between Barcelona and Real Madrid. Is all. What a nice revenge, Mr. Marawa. Barcelona has been beating my team left, right, and center, but I think winning that game by 4 goals to 1 on aggregate and going to the final, I think it's a good revenge. Thank you, Mr. Marawa. Good show.
Hashtag MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live at the same time. Hashtag MSW.
Well, it's gone exactly 26 minutes after the hour. It is Marawa Sports Worldwide, live on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live. Interactive as always, hearing about the game that was played yesterday. Barcelona, Real Madrid. Who can stop them right now, hey? Benzema, breaking records, as he seems to do. The duo that have earned themselves now one name, Benzema. Vinicius and Benzema together, making magic. All right, and just summarizing what we spoke about with Frank Lampard. I mean, his return to Chelsea as the caretaker manager until the end of the season following the sacking of Graham Potter. That's the club's record goal scorer, previously spending 19 months as manager at Stamford Bridge before being dismissed in January 2021. And straight after you hear this clip fresh out of the press conference, we will have, as we said, in studio, our guest, Golden Lions Rugby Union President Neville Jardine is here. Look forward to that conversation.
It's a pretty easy decision for me. This is my club in terms of my playing career and having coached here before. So I have a lot of emotions and feelings towards the club. I'm also a very practical person. you know, and when you become a manager, you understand that you don't manage your own club, the club that you say is your club forever. And obviously I've been on a different path since I left Chelsea. But to come back in a time where the club have asked me to come and take the role, of course that's the most important thing, but also with a belief that I can come and help the cause in this period to the end of the season. So I'm delighted to get that opportunity, and I want to be, you know, I'm thankful for that, to the people that have decided to give me that opportunity. I'm confident in myself. I have a good understanding of the squad. Of course, I've worked with a lot of them before, but also the training ground, the stadium, the fans, what Chelsea fans want, and I'll do my utmost in this period coming to give them what they want with my own hard work. So again, I don't want to jump forward to that. And I understand I'm probably going to get asked that question a lot and asked a series of questions. I've got my eyes wide open. I expect those questions. But the important thing for me is to kind of park that to the side and focus on the job in hand for me. And I'm very excited to do that, along with the staff that I will be working with and the players that I will be working with, because I was at the game on Tuesday night. I know there's a lot of talent in this squad, not just the players that played on Tuesday, but generally I'm excited to work with that talent and help them, and that's why I'm here. Yeah, it's a big challenge, but aren't they all? You know, and that's not just my own world of, you know, coming to Chelsea at the first time with a lot of young players and the transfer ban, Everton, everyone saw. That's my story. Every manager will have that story. Everything's a challenge. We're seeing how the Premier League is, so I have complete sympathy for all managers that maybe lose jobs and move on, and also congratulations to managers that have success, because I know the work. So I'm ready just to put my work into this challenge that's in front of me and take it day by day. I've got a clear idea of what I want to do in this period. But the biggest thing for me now is to be able to speak to the players and to feel them out on the grass and try and impact them. I don't think football can surprise you really like that. Personally, I think because it's such a competitive league, I don't think it's my position to comment on the whys and hows that the club is where it is now. It's my position to try and find the right energy, the right results to try and move us into a more positive direction. Because this is Chelsea Football Club. We know we don't want to be in 11th position, but the reality is that where we are, there's been change, there's been transition, there's been change in the squad. We have, I think there's mentioned before, a lot of talent in this squad, and it's very clear and very obvious, and you look at stories around the Premier League and its history, those things take a bit of time, you know, and everyone will try and work in the right direction. So I think some things have to be understandable, but some things you want to get there quickly because you want to work and make it show. So if I can play my part in that, then great. In terms of unfinished business, I don't quite see it like that. You know, I was here for that period of time. I look back on it with really good feelings about the positives, and when I reflected all the things that I think maybe I could have done that a little bit better. I think most managers will be the same. And now I'm here in a different period, a different era, and I just want to do as well as I can. So that unfinished business sounds a little bit Hollywood. You know, it's like you're looking for a great line. I want to work, you know, and of course I want to help this club as much as I can.
Hashtag MSW. Inquisitive fun. It's radio. Hashtag MSW.
All right, I'll be telling you shortly about what happened on this day in history on the 6th of April, 1987. It's got to do with some of the big guns in boxing. If you think you know, hey, let me know. I also tell you what, I mean, there's always so much to talk about at the mere mention of Golden Lions. In fact, there's a lot. And today, we're going to do just that. And here to unpack it all for us is the Rugby Union President, Neville Jardine. Since his appointment as president, he joins us for the very first time in studio. Such a great honor indeed to have him come through. Neville, thank you so much. And firstly, congratulations.
Thank you, Robert.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, and greetings to all your listeners here.
I know that I would say that with Kevin, who was also a very good friend of the show, was always available, very transparent. You being his vice for the past, 9 years, I would imagine, it would have been a great partnership. And now do we see something akin to what we would call continuity?
Well, yes, Robert. So I'm actually in the position since September 2018.
Yeah.
So I had a full stint in the first year, and then of course COVID hit us in 2020 and 2021. We had a bit of a kind of a different kind of year in 21, but 22 we started to play again, And 2023, we will be firing on all cylinders. Yeah.
What do you think would be the biggest challenge? I mean, when you talk about firing on all cylinders, and that's exactly what the fans of the Lions have been looking forward to. What do you think have been? Maybe let's start with the challenges, though, the stumbling blocks.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm the president of the union.
Yeah.
And I mean, the big issues is club rugby, community rugby. And I mean, the challenges post-COVID has been immense. Especially our township-based clubs are struggling, and to get them up and going has been a challenge. And just the socio-economic conditions of our country, and all the challenges associated with that. I mean, there's funding, there's transport, just kit and apparel, just basic things that clubs in communities need. And those are the biggest challenges on that side. On the professional side, of course, there's other challenges as well, similar to those, but not as broad, impacting all the communities and so on that we serve here.
I mean, one of the things that obviously stands out is the club from a township perspective struggling. It was one of those shining examples, and I think people wanted to get involved because they could see a future. They could see it growing.
Yeah.
What do you think has contributed to that struggle? Because that fan base, that player base, obviously is keen to have rugby played.
Yeah, so one of the major challenges is unemployment in our country.
Yeah.
There's a lack of facilities in our communities. And all the things that drive that, as I said, transport to get to matches and games, and even if you afford them the opportunities to get to a big stadium, there's another challenge, because how do they get there? So those are all the things that we're working on, and things that we hope to resolve. We obviously need to work with the city of Johannesburg and all the communities. Hopefully we can bring on board additional partners that will help us, to really uplift our entire community, all the communities, to see that they, that they become part of the greater South Africa, that they can enjoy the sport we all love so much, and a lot of that is, it's actually like a barrier. They just can't get to participate, actually.
Seems like something where you're pretty hamstrung by events happening. And when you talk about the city of Johannesburg, I mean, they themselves, not an example of fluidity in any way. They have their challenges.
Yes.
One day you have a mayor, the next day you don't. So you can imagine how that filters down to every other department. So there is a lack of continuity and stability as far as they are concerned, which will then further impact what you want to achieve, including that of facilities.
Yes, absolutely. We need a stable environment. We need a stable economy. We need more people to be employed. We need people to have more access to jobs. All of those things impact us in a direct and even in an indirect way. Yeah. So,
I mean, I mentioned, and that's why I congratulated you in the position, is that being the first time we having this interaction as well is important. And as much as we would talk and lament about the issues there, we'll get to the fans, which I think is an important thing, and we'll get to the venue as well a little bit later on, though. But what are, for you, in your time in the position, what have been your highlights?
Well, one of the biggest highlights is been that, I mean, we survived COVID, obviously. 2020 and 2021, we had lots of MS Teams meeting and Zoom meetings, checking on our constituencies and see how they were doing. We kept them all going, and just keeping the hope alive that one day things will be back to normal. And I think we can touch would say that we almost there. One of the biggest highlights has obviously been all of that, and then a great success of ours has been has been in all our clubs are back and strong. We've got 3 strong universities. All the clubs are ready to play. We've got on board our women's league is doing very well. The Lions was promoted to the A division of the South African Rugby Union's Premier League, and we're playing over there. Our youth programs are up and running. Still struggling a bit in the townships, but it's up and running. We've got more than 4,000 youngsters playing rugby. We've got about 24 clubs, men's clubs playing. We've got about 12 women's teams playing as well. And that's one of the great successes. And then of course, together with our franchise and the Ellis Park Stadium, we've started to turn the corner as well. And you'll have seen that the Lions franchise team, we've won 4 games recently.
Sure.
And all with local talent as well. I mean, mostly local youngsters, growing them from the bottom up. Those has been part of the successes, yes.
All right, so as I said, after the break, we'll dive into picking up on some of the challenges. And I know, just listening carefully to what you mentioned just early on, Neville, when you talk about wanting to broaden the base of some of the partnerships that you have, because ultimately everything spins and hangs around the financial muscle. And if you don't have the financial muscle, then you are going to struggle within certain quarters. But also just to find out from everyone listening in and around Gauteng, about when last were you at what is traditionally called Ellis Park Stadium to go and watch the Lions play? And is this the venue that they will hold on to in the long term? I guess those and other questions after this.
Marawa Sports Worldwide Live.
In 3, 2, 1.
On 947, Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live. #MSW.
I can't wait to dip my feet in the ocean.
And I can't wait to wear my new bikini.
Oh, I just need to take a break from the boss.
Mina, I'll just be sipping on milkshakes all weekend long.
Wherever you're heading, you'll always find a Wimpy at Engine to enjoy your favorite meals. So come on in and you could also win a brand new car just by spending 200 Rand. It's the perfect way to start any road trip. Engine Wimpy. Love the journey. T's and C's apply.
Rolling Stone calls it deliciously dark. The Hollywood Reporter calls it TV's best show of the century. While Tabang Modiadia from Deep Slut calls it the most riveting example of modern-day Shakespeare. Everyone's talking about the 4th season of the Emmy Award-winning series Succession. Don't miss the drama, deception, and family betrayal in the final chapter of this gripping HBO show. Sign up to watch at showmax.com.
Woolworths W Awards members spend 350 Rand or more on kids' fashion and unlock a chance to play and win guaranteed prizes. Apple MacBooks, watches, dual air fryers, and up to 50,000 Rand in cash and more. Now's the best time to shop kids' fleece bottoms and tops from only 179 Rand. Woolworths, the difference. T's and C's apply.
The Galaxy S23 Ultra's 200 megapixel camera brings you wow-worthy resolution. So much resolution, in fact, that you'll be able to zoom, crop, scale, and print your images without losing any detail. Now that's epic. Buy any Galaxy S23 now and add the Galaxy Watch 5 from only 49 Rand per month. And get free Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, valued at 3,999. Galaxy S23 series. Share the epic. T's and C's apply.
We've all heard of injury time, added time, and extra time, but poor Chris has hit extra time. While his girlfriend tries on everything in the store, he's been stuck outside the change rooms.
But look, Utemanigi is checking Betway Bulb.
With Betway Bulb, he's got access to the stats he'll need to place his bet on tonight's game, all right on his phone. There's no better way to burn down the clock.
Another feature, another gem. Halala!
It helps to be switched on with Betway Bulb.
Licensed and regulated by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. For gambling counseling, call SARGF on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp 076 675 0710.
exclusively on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
And can you imagine spending 2 full weeks in detention in a foreign country? Well, that's exactly what's happening to two Maruma Gallants officials. The SAFA manager for football and events, Mzwandile Mafovana.
But Rob, what we need to focus on now is the amount that this person is charging. Really, do you believe that a 1.5 hour flight, can it cost that $35,000 US? Is it somebody who is trying to take advantage of the team that was in a disparate situation to find a solution to be assisted? This is the individual who is just taking advantage because he's talking about Marumo being aware of the cost that they're supposed to pay. I hope that he has provided you a proof of the engagement with Marumo because the engagement telephonically only.
#MSW. #MSW.
Right, in conversation with Golden Lions Rugby Union President Neville Jardine. Also interactive, you want to call us 011-8838-947. Also send us your WhatsApp voice note.
Hi Rob, with your guest today, the Lions Rugby, chairperson. I just want to find out from him, since Gauteng is actually the biggest, province and all these, things, especially he's in Joburg, the economic hub of South Africa. Why are the Lions not really dominant? Compared to other, the other, if I can give you an example, the cricket Lions. The cricket Lions are dominant because of the position where they are. I just want to also find out about the Joburg Stadium. Are they still using the Joburg Stadium? Are they still booking it? What is the situation with the Joburg Stadium? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much indeed for that. Neville, Joburg Stadium, it was always a good marriage. Ellis Park on the side.
Yeah.
There was Joburg Stadium next door, which at some point Orlando Pirates were using as a home ground and then training ground, then became a training ground for rugby as well. What's the current status?
So the status is right now we've got the Confederation of Sport, the Gauteng Confederation of Sport house there, but our players actually train from that base as well. Yeah, so it is being used here.
But as a training ground, there's no commercial value that is being explored or exploited from that.
No, not as such. Yeah. So the Ellis Park Stadium, the management who maintains the stadium takes care of that, and it's not being used right now.
All right, let's talk about. We were talking about financials, and I know that it's been a good week. For the club, for the union. Long-standing sponsor, I would say a long-standing sponsor of sport in South Africa has come to the party. Tell me about it.
No good, Robert. So the first thing when you spoke about the highlights, I just want to add two things quickly. So we have two major sponsors, Bestmed, who sponsors our referees, and they came to our assistance last year, and then for the past few years we had MasterCard, who's been sponsoring our women's team. They've done an amazing work for us, and what I want to talk about is the Castle Lager that the sponsorship was announced yesterday, and we are so excited about that because it's a brand that represents the values of resilience, unity. It's 100% homegrown brand. They represent community. And then also, it's a brand that promotes hope, and together, when you compare the two brands, the Lions, and you compare Castle Lager. We're so proud to have them as our sponsor. They sponsored the Springboks for many decades, and so they've done the Proteas and even Bafana. So for them to come on board. They give us so much value in that, and people will want to know why are they joining us. So the resilience, we speak about the resilience, over many decades the Lions has been around, and a few years ago we were relegated from the biggest competition in the country, but we all stuck together. The unity that Castle brings, we also have that in Lions. We've got a unity in all our values. We speak about In fact, the competition that Castle will be sponsoring is known as the Grand Challenge. It was the Grand Challenge which runs from 1890. So it shows the resilience of that. And today it's known as the Pirates Grand Challenge, and that is what they'll be sponsoring. It brings the unity as well, because in the past, even though many people in our communities didn't play under the Grand Challenge, we played all in our own competitions pre-1994. But we've got a sense of unity now that we brought these competitions under one banner together. It's brought a diversity of people. I mean, there's people from all areas in our society playing under one banner now. It's 100% homegrown, and I spoke earlier about the vision of the Lions is to promote from within. And it's got this similarity to what Castle Lager brings to the table. We speak about community. Castle Lager is known as a community brand, 100% South African brand. And at the Lions, we want to promote from within. We want our youngsters to come through. We want to promote the clubs, the communities, and to bring that sense of, we want to bring the Kasi to the Lions, basically. And, that is one of our biggest visions. We also want to bring the hope to the youth. And, if we can get youngsters out of the township to come and represent us, they become our next heroes. And people will flock to the game. And if we can bring all that together with all our stakeholders, our sponsors, hopefully other people will get on board and support our township structures, and even with the Castle sponsorship. I mean, we want to build capacity, and assist with some small budgetary living items for our clubs, but training and development and all of that. And with Castle Lager also wants to tell the stories of people in communities, and we can offer them all of that. Our clubs, when we look at our clubs and we follow them on Facebook, and you can see that there's more than 50,000 people following our clubs in the different clubs, and when you add the universities, it's close to or just surpassing 90,000 people. And if we can tap into that. There's opportunities for everybody, especially for business people as well. And I'd urge them to come, and support the Lions, and to see where they can assist and uplift our communities and everybody. The aim obviously is to get people to play club. I mean, to play juniors, to play club, to play Lions, to play Springboks. And in doing that, we're uplifting our entire community. And our country, Robert.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a solid business plan. And that's why I'm just giving you the time to elaborate on that.
Yes.
First question is, this particular marriage has got to be long-term. And if it is long-term, for how many years?
Well, so far it's for 3. It's for 3 years.
So it's a 3-year contract.
Yeah, it's a 3-year contract. But I can tell you now that I know that they will get value in this brand, and I'm sure they'll extend it, because in a speech yesterday we promised them that we will deliver on our promises, and there's good people in the brand, and when you read about all the things that they are doing, I spoke about the resilience, the unity, the hope that it will bring to our youth and everybody. I think we're in for a long time.
I think that brings a great level of excitement from people that are listening and saying that, okay, maybe this will be the turnaround that we've been looking for, visibility and on the field and the success that comes with sponsorship. But it also just begs the question of whether or not, something like Emirates Airlines, have they got a stake in Golden Lions? And now that you have Castle that's come through, does that leave them one side, or do they match? Just maybe explain to me how that'll work.
Yeah, so just to be clear, Robert, the Emirates Airline and all the other sponsors associated with the Lions, that's more around the franchise, and of course the union who takes care of clubs and the communities and the schools and that kind of thing. So Castle Lager, the part I'm speaking about is mostly around clubs,
right,
and universities and schools and so on. Yeah. So of course, Emirates is there as a big sponsor for the big brand, yeah.
And obviously the naming rights within the stadium itself still remains there.
Yes,
and you talked about talent, and maybe the name of Elton Jantjies. I said the other day that I think that was the last time I was at the stadium when he single-handedly won, the Currie Cup for the Lions. I mean, he came from the Cape, played for the Golden Lions leagues, having obtained a bursary at either Queen's or Jeppe School. Now, he eventually got to play for Golden Lions. Are scouts still looking out for talent and very talented young rugby players who are coming through from those disadvantaged communities? Is that the plug to say, can we see more Elton Jantjies? And he's been a shining light not only for Lions but also what he's done within the Springboks.
Yes, so you're absolutely right. They will obviously be looking for youngsters like that. Yeah. Elton actually played at Florida Whir.
Yes.
Yeah, and he came in at a very young age. He played, I think, Lions under 19, and then eventually, I mean, you've just given his history. But we've got so many young, talented youngsters from within, and yes, we will be looking for talent outside. I mean, you look at Edwil van der Merwe, who's from the Cape, playing on the wing for the Lions, Raps Makswani, all of those guys. But we've got locally born and bred guys as well as Asenati in Lapakania. There's Willem Albers that's still playing. I mean, you'll know his name. I think he's from Monash. We've got Emmanuel Santuka, who's also, he'll become a household name as well. Frankie Horn, we've got, and Q and Horn. We brought in Sanela Nohamba from the Sharks, a youngster with amazing talent, and yes, so we'll build out our teams around them, but ideally we want to build from within, and we want to encourage all our players, all the schools and the communities, to bring those gems. We hope to untap the talent and bring them to play for the Lions and eventually the Springboks.
Well, I mean, Nohamba's so quick that he beat you to being here in studio before you got a chance to feature on the show, which is fantastic. One of the things that always fights me is time.
Yeah.
You would know that, when that whistle goes, it's time out. Ellis Park Stadium.
Yeah.
I'm dropping the sponsor's name deliberately because that is how we've all gotten to know it growing up.
Okay.
Has been Ellis Park Stadium. What's its future? What's the future of it continuously being the home ground? We struggled with the Springbok test, when they played against the All Blacks. There's a lot of issues that have got nothing to do with you, but have got to do with the situation in and around Ellis Park that makes it difficult for it to become fan-friendly, and people hate that. So what is the future of the stadium, and will you continue to be based where you are?
Yeah, so we definitely will be based there. We have to take hands with the city of Johannesburg again, to make sure that it's a safe and friendly environment. It's an iconic stadium. It's one of the most beautiful stadiums.
Yeah.
The All Blacks and all the Test nations, they don't want to play at Ellis Park because they know that at Ellis Park, it's the home of the Springboks actually. Yeah. So a safe environment. I mean, once there's lots of myths about what goes on around there. Johannesburg's unfortunately in a situation where, the socio-economic environment is not so great. But we'll be taking hands with them, Robert, and people must come to the stadium. We don't want people to be negative about our stadium. It's a beautiful stadium. It's the most iconic stadium in the world.
Yeah.
And we
just got a voice note. Sorry to catch in. Talking about the very same thing we're talking about. Yeah.
Good evening, Robert, and good evening to the president of Lions Rugby, Libra here from East London. With regards to Ellis Park, the only solution for them is to take the games to the communities. Stop taking the games to Ellis Park because people don't come out to Ellis Park. He's right. It's expensive to go to Ellis Park for South Africans who are living in Johannesburg because of the transport, because of the crime rate in South Africa. So take the games to the communities, to club rugby stadiums. That is where you'll find the crowd. That is what they do in England. If they're struggling to attract the fans, they take the games to smaller stadiums. And the atmosphere is great there. So that is a marketing idea that they can do. And then the second question that I have for them, are you happy with how rugby has been governed in South Africa? Are you happy with SA Rugby without the managing and governing rugby in South Africa and administering rugby in South Africa? Are you happy with Mark Alexander? I just want your opinion Because we're not hearing a lot. And will you stand up for the next SA Rugby president position? Because Mark Alexander, I think, is going out in 2027. It's his last term. Will you put up your hand? What areas do you think SA Rugby needs to improve to make sure the game is broadened and to make sure that, funding is taken so that we can grow the game, especially women's rugby? Thank you.
Libra, thank you so much indeed. You can tell the passion there, which really says to you and I, Neville, that we need a second round of this conversation. We've even touched on the Raiders Club in Bosmont, which should have been, Dad's big project that he had. But just to answer, Libra, very quickly, I've literally got less than a minute.
Yeah, look, you have to be an insider to understand what's happening. I'm happy with Mark Alexander. Yes, I am. I know that he's doing what he can do, and there's 14 unions sitting around the table, ensuring that there's all matters are being taken care of. They brought us back into the URC and eventually into this European competitions. So they're doing their bit for South African rugby. And
let me push you. Would you stand one day?
Well, will I be nominated? I think that's a question to ask you. So
what do you think? What do you think the members they'll nominate? Huh? They've seen your leadership. You've been there many years, leading one of the leading franchises here in South Africa.
Look, Robert, I'll be honest with you. If asked. And if asked to did you say in 2027, and we all around and healthy and so on, I'll put my hand up. But for now, I support the structures and I support the executive of the South African Rugby Union, and I'll do my bit for the Lions while I'm president at the Lions, ensuring that we grow the game in our communities and for all South Africans as well.
Well, I'm glad that there's a new sponsor that's popped in. We'll talk about the rest. You heard, and I think it is worth a second conversation, and maybe we'll negotiate an entire hour because there's a lot to unpack. Neville Jardine, Golden Lions Rugby Union President, joining us right here on Marawa Sports Worldwide. Sir, have a great long weekend, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Thanks to you and your listeners. Thank you.
Thanks so much
Good
indeed.
evening.
And I think everybody, like we said, try very carefully on those roads.
Marawa Sports Worldwide Live.
In 3, 2, 1.
On 947, Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live.
#MSW.